weeks back, I did a video speaking about some terrible F1 tracks, and of the 5 I mentioned, Herman Tilke designed 3 of them, and he was the man in charge of the redesign of a 4th. I genuinely did not mean for that to become a bashing Herman Tilke tracks video. So to balance the books, here is 5 of the man's best F1 circuits. Let's kick off with Bahrain. Bahrain joined the calendar in 2004 with this venue, the Sakir International Circuit, a track in the desert. There's a few different configurations possible with this venue, but this is the one used for every Bahrain GP bar 1. You start off with a long run down to the first corner, which opens up the lap with a chicane, followed by another straight to turn 4, which starts you in a sweeping run down the hill to a semi-hairpin at turn 8, which then gets followed by a not so easy braking zone through turns 9 and into turn 10. There's another straight before turns 11 and 12, which takes you back up the hill into turn 13, before the final straight down to turn 14, which is the last meaningful corner on the track, because 15 is just, gonna be honest, it's like Sauber this year. Doesn't really do anything, it's just there and not all that noticeable. This layout here is the bar 1, which was 2010 when they used the endurance layout, which was questionable at best. The outer loop, which got used for the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix, however, now that is a layout I would actually quite like to see them use again. This is a venue that can provide us with great battles and races. 2014 with Hamilton versus Rosberg comes to mind. Say Leclerc v Verstappen in 2022. Hamilton and Verstappen in 2021. Bottas chasing down Vettel to try and get the win in 2018. It would have been his first win, but Vettel just managed to hold on. Fernando Alonso's overtake at turn 10 on Lewis Hamilton in 2023. Like, you do not see overtakes at turn 10 normally. But Alonso clearly just said, nah, hold my beer, I'm gonna overtake there. The layout of the track, it just kind of works. You have a long straight into a heavy braking zone at turn 1, which is great for overtaking, but with the way the first 3 corners are, and with there being another straight afterwards, the person being overtaken into turn 1 can come back into turn 4. If you get a good run out at turn 10, you can pass into a leaf-in, or you can just do what Alonso did last year if you have big enough balls. They also changed it from a day race to a night race in 2014, so hey, I'm all here for it. Yeah, Bahrain can throw up some not so great races, but every track does that from time to time. But overall, it's a modern classic. Next, we'll take a turn down to Malaysia. The Sepang International Circuit joined the calendar in 1999 and departed in 2017, and this is it. The first turn curls right into turn 2 before you sweep through 3 and into the 90 degrees-ish kind of turn 4. You sweep through 5 and 6 before going through 7 and 8, which goes one into the other. Then after a small straight, you get to turn 9, which is a bit of a hairpin. After making your way through turn 10 to turn 9, and you get to turn 11, and then you sweep through 12 and 13 before turn 14, which you're gonna want to get a good run out of because you've got a very long straight before the 15th and final corner, which is a long hairpin. This track is one that so many people would love to see return to the calendar, and it's clear to see why. First off, the weather, from heat to rain and anything in between, can be about as chaotic and all over the place as, well, this season has been. And on the weather, I say look no further than 2009. Started dry, and then when it started raining, it went from 0 to 100. Then there's the racing and the memorable moments that's been seen at this venue. Multi 21, anybody? Then there was 2016, which saw the Red Bulls going head-to-head again for the win, with Daniel Ricciardo beating out his, at the time, just-turned 19-year-old teammate Max Verstappen. This track saw Sebastian Vettel achieve his first race win for Ferrari. It saw the return of Michael Schumacher after being out for 6 races in the track's debut year in 1999. Kimi Raikkonen's first win in 2003, during which, according to Mark Priestley in his book, which I do recommend, the Finn, when the team kept trying to get him to slow down a bit, because he was about 30 seconds or so in the lead and he could afford to slow down, yelled over the team radio something along the lines of, "Stop talking, I know what I'm fucking doing." Classic Kimi. Then there was this kind of strange coming together between eventual teammates Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel in 2017 on the cooldown lap. Seriously, how do you crash on the cooldown lap? The track just lended itself to providing great races, and so many would love to see it return. For our third track, we're remaining in Asia, but we're heading up to the east side of China to Shanghai. Now, Shanghai may not be everybody's cup of tea, it may not be one of the ones that comes to mind when you think of Tilke's best tracks, but I want to argue its case because this track is really cool in my honest opinion. Like Bahrain, this was another one that joined the party in 2000. 2004, and this is what the drivers got met with. The first 12 turns feel like they're never ending, leading right into each another, and it curls right into turns 3 and 4. You basically ignore the kink of turn 5 because your full focus is on the braking zone of turn 6, which is a hairpin. After sweeping through turn 7 and turn 8, then you get to turn 9, which is a bit slower, and you're getting on the power throughout turn 10 to try and get a good run through and out of the corner because you've got a bit of a straight heading into turn 11. 11 and 12 is a bit of a chicane there, and you want to try and get a good run out and through the line run of turn 13 because after 13 you're met with one of the longest straights in F1, and at the end of it is a rather heavy braking zone. It's the heaviest braking zone of the circuit and the best overtaking chance on the track with the hairpin of turn 14. 15 you basically ignore because it's just a small kink that's in the exit of 14, and then there's the 16th and final corner. Shanghai has brought us some great moments over the years. Mark Webber came through from 18th to a podium in 2011. Verstappen did a similar thing in 2017 when he went from 16th to 3rd, and 9 of the places he made up was within the first couple of minutes of the race. And not to mention, until the 2023 Dutch Grand Prix happened, this track was actually the home of the most overtakes in an F1 race with 161 overtakes in 2016. And that was also the year that gave us Daniel Kvyat, aka the Torpedo, and this mastery from Seb Vettel in the pit lane. And speaking of the pit lane, that is where Hamilton's chances at the 2007 championship started to slip away. And the year before that, in 2006, Shanghai gave us Michael Schumacher's 91st and final win in F1. I just love the layout of this track. The Lang main straight, which has DRS followed by the Lang winding first 3 corners, it offers up a good overtaking chance. If you get a good enough exit out of there, then maybe you could come back into 6. The sweeping corners of the infield, the mega long back straight into a heavy braking zone. Like we saw in the sprint last year, this year rather, 2024, between the Ferraris and Perez and Alonso, like the kind of racing that this track can provide. The sprint, by the way, which it just really works here. I'm not a massive fan of the sprint races, but it does work at Shanghai. And I just feel like some may sleep on Shanghai a bit, to be honest. But honestly, I rate it. I quite like it, which is why it's here. Up next, I want to take a turn over to Turkey. The Istanbul Park joined the calendar in 2005 and left in 2011 before it then returned in the pandemic-affected seasons of 2020 and 2021. Here's the circuit. Turn 1 is 90 degrees-ish before you sweep through turn 2 and make your way through 3 to the 90 degrees of turn 4. Turn 5 leads into turn 6, then turn 7 is a long hairpin before the triple apex turn number 8, a corner which was the inspiration for a section of the next track we'll be speaking about. Turns 9 and 10 are a chicane before the longest straight of the circuit, and okay, it isn't actually a straight because turn 11 is in the middle of it, before you then arrive at the final 3 corners. The final 3 corners being parts of the scene of Perez and Hamilton going at it hammer and tongs in 2021. That battle being just one of the memorable moments we've seen at Istanbul. We had 2020. Nothing specific, just that entire weekend, the slip and slide the new track surface and rainy conditions provided. Both Ferraris out in Q2, which for 2020 may not have sounded that weird, but they had been quite towards the top of the times in all of practice. Mercedes qualifying poorly. Lance Stroll nabbed pole position in the pink Mercedes. Basically, everybody dropped it at some point or another, apart from Sebastian Vettel, who had started the race like a man possessed. Leclerc locking up and losing a podium in the closing corners of the race, and Hamilton coming through to win the race by quite a margin, and with it, his record equaling 7th F1 World Championship title. The Red Bulls came to blows here in 2010, attacking each other at the race. The McLarens actually had a bit of fisticuffs in that race as well. Felipe Massa scored his first pole and win of his F1 career at Turkey. He always went rather well at Turkey, actually. And not to mention, this track is also home to one of my favourite radio moments ever.
If we stay at this pace, what are we looking for in terms of position?
If we can keep Bottas behind P1.
Thank you very much, Captain Obvious. I'm sure that's exactly the information that Leclerc was looking for. Look, this track just kent how to provide an exciting race, and seeing the cars sweeping through the triple apex turn 8 was also great. I just had to include this track on the list. And finally, let's finish off with a trip to the circuit F1 is visiting next. The Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, which was actually conceived by Tavo Helmond and Kevin Schwantz. I butchered that pronunciation. again. But they had the assistance of Herman Tilke in the process of the track coming to life, hence why he's here. I mean, he is listed as one of the architects of the circuit. Joining the calendar in 2012 after F1 had a 5-year absence for racing in the States, they were met with this circuit in Texas. You start the lap, we run up the hill to the hairpin of turn 1, which the entry of the turn is wider than the exit. Yeah, the apex is a bit off-center. Turn 2 starts you back down the hill and sweeping through the first sector, but the next turn you're really thinking about is turn 6 through to turn 9, which starts you back up the hill before going right back down the hill through turn 10 into the second hairpin of the track, which you're going to want to get a good exit for because you have lang straight ahead of you after you, and then when it ends you have heavy braking zone for turn 12. You're then into a bit of a stadium section through turns 13 to 16, which is followed by 17 and 18, which is more or less one lang high-speed corner, with the lap that is then ending with a pretty quick sweep through turn 19, and then there is turn 20. I got there in the end. That completely did not take me 10 attempts to do that one section, starting with turn 2 starts. Colta, after being on the calendar for 12 years, has become a modern classic that's always one to look forward to. The way that certain sections are inspired for other much-loved circuits, such as the Hockenheim Ring, Istanbul Park, and Silverstone. The racing here is also great. 2021 with Hamilton hunting down Verstappen for the win in that brilliant championship fight season we had, but with Verstappen just holding on. 2022, Verstappen hunting down a Hamilton for the win, having to dispatch Leclerc along the way and succeeding in taking the victory in 2022. Lewis Hamilton claiming his third world title here in 2015. In 2018, Hamilton desperately trying to get past Verstappen in the late stages of the race to try and, take his world championship that season, but just not being able to. And Kimi Raikkonen holding on to take what was his final race victory in Formula 1. Sebastian Vettel and Kevin Magnussen on the last lap of the 2022 US Grand Prix, and Vettel getting by in that amazing overtake he made in the closing corners of the race. Oh, and it's also home to one of my other favorite ever radio moments.
So lap time deleted for Verstappen.
For fuck's sake, tell me the name before. Oh my
Verstappen,
God.
lap time deleted. Verstappen,
Yeah.
lap time deleted.
Yeah, well, I had a heart attack in the meantime.
Yeah, okay.
Is the way that he just goes, yeah, okay, after Charles says he'd almost gave him a heart attack, he was just like, yeah, whatever, I really don't care. The circuit lends itself to providing exciting and interesting races, and I hope we get another good one this year. Finally, after so many years of F1 trying to find a good home in the US for the US Grand Prix, and there has been some good ones, it has finally found a great home for the US Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. What's your favorite tracks designed by Herman Tilke? Let me get your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.